There are various opinions over the Passover meal, and I see many people within the Messianic Judaism and Christian communities missing some crucial points. In Exodus chapter 12, there are guidelines surrounding the lamb for Passover. For example, it has to be a male, mature at 1 year old, no broken bones, no blemish, blood on the doorpost. You got to keep the lamb for 4 days before slaughtering. If we're going to follow Exodus chapter 12 literally, we must also follow these guidelines, and that's hard to do. I guarantee you these guidelines are not being followed by the majority of people. Perhaps Yahweh set these strict guidelines because he knew that someday Yeshua would replace this practice, because his ideal is not about bloodshed of the innocent year after year. Stay with me here. I'm going to get into some crucial points, but first let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 5 to 7. The lamb must be slaughtered within the temple gates, where Yahweh declares. Many Jews believe that if there is no temple, there is no lamb. Is it safe to say that a lamb is not to be eaten on Passover? In today's day and age, due to all the restrictive guidelines, I believe so. I hope you're following along. It's going to get good. First, let's look at these straight out passages that cannot be ignored or brushed off. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 11 to 13. And it goes, "What are the multitude of your sacrifices to me, says Yahweh? I have had enough of the burnt offerings of rams and the fat of fed animals. I do not delight in the blood of bulls, or of lambs, or of male goats. When you come to appear before me, who has required this at your hand, to trample my courts? Bring no more vain offerings." I'm going to read verse 12 again. "When you come to appear before me, who has required this at your hand, to trample my courts?" I encourage you to look at verse 12 and study that verse. He's telling the people, who required this of you? Let's look at Psalm chapter 40, verse 6 to 8. "Sacrifice and offering you didn't desire. You have opened my ears. You have not required burnt offering and sin offering. Then I said, behold, I have come. It is written about me in the book and the scroll. I delight to do your will, my God. Yes, your law is within my heart." Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 22 to 24. "For I didn't speak to your fathers or command them in that day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt concerning burnt offerings or sacrifices. But this thing I commanded them, saying, listen to my voice, and I will be your God, and you shall be my people. Walk in the way that I commanded you, that it may be well with you. But they didn't listen or turn their ear, but walked in their own counsels and in the stubbornness of their evil heart, and went backward and not forward." Also, we can look at Hosea 6:6, and it aligns pretty well with Matthew 9:13, where Yeshua says, "For I desire mercy, not sacrifice." Depending on the version you have, some will say, or animal sacrifice. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, Jesus ate the Passover lamb. Duh. I would challenge that. Let's look at some of these passages with Yeshua eating the Passover. Let's start with Mark chapter 14, 12 to 16. "On the first day of unleavened bread, when they sacrificed the Passover, his disciples asked him, 'Where do you want us to go and prepare that you may eat the Passover?' He sent 2 of his disciples and said to them, 'Go into the city, and there a man carrying a pitcher of water will meet you. Follow him, and wherever he enters, tell the master of the house, the teacher says, where is the guest room, where I may eat the Passover with my disciples? He will himself show you a large upper room, furnished and ready. Get ready for us there. His disciples went out, came into the city, and found things as he had said to them. And they prepared the Passover. Now, this is where certain things in what we call the New Testament, or what some call the New Testament, it requires, maybe the word is due diligence, looking at things with a different lens. On this, the word in Mark 14, 12, 16, nowhere is the word lamb mentioned. We could also translate verse 12 in multiple ways. So when it says, when they sacrificed the Passover, could this be a preface or an intro explaining what is done on Passover as a general statement, and not necessarily saying that they, the disciples, and Yeshua sacrificed the Passover? Yeshua knew what the scripture through the prophets say, that Yahweh does not like sacrifices. So why would Yeshua partake in that? We have to keep in mind that there is a good chance that Jesus was somehow involved in or a part of the Essene Jewish group. At that time, there were three main Jewish sects or groups: Pharisees, Sadducees, and the Essenes. Many in the Essene community were vegetarian and against animal slaughter. In the book of Matthew, during the Passover, Yeshua did not say, take this lamb meat, but instead he says, take this bread. This is my body. Eat this in remembrance of me. If there was a supposed lamb at the table, why didn't he reference the lamb as his body? These are crucial points and thoughts I hope you may take into consideration. Some of you may be thinking, okay then, what do I do for Passover? You see, our society and culture has us accustomed to having animal products in every single meal we consume. And I was like that at one point. But there are so many creative and amazing vegetarian dishes that you can make. It's clear that Yahweh does not desire animal bloodshed. You might be thinking, is Torah wrong then? No, not at all. But we have to understand that Torah laws is a result of our sin nature. Think about what is holy to Yahweh. Then think about how we can keep this Passover holy. Slaughtering an animal causes pain, fear, and suffering. Do you think this resembles God's holiness? We need to start looking at God's ideal. And his ideal can be found in the beginning at the Garden of Eden. Someday, our old earth will become new and we will live in a restored Eden, God's true ideal. Now I want to wrap it up with this passage in Isaiah chapter 11, verse 6 to 9. And it reads, the wolf will lay with the lamb, and the leopard will lie down with the young goat, the calf, the young lion, and the fattened calf together, and a little child will lead them. The cow and the bear will graze. Their young ones will lie down together. The lions will eat straw like the ox. The nursing child will play near a cobra's hole, and the weaned child will put his hand on the viper's den. They will not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of Yahweh, as the waters cover the sea.